Insurance.com. Don't forget the S, it's for savings.
Good afternoon, greater Philadelphia area. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. Stacey was really rocking out there if you're watching the live stream. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacey Mitchell. And again, we work with the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the number one RE/MAX team since 2018 in Pennsylvania and in Delaware. How's it going today, Stace?
It's going good. How's it going with you?
It's going same as it's always going, I guess. So
Yeah.
rocking and rolling here. I know you're
complain.
busy.
No complaints.
Well, that's the way to be going into the holiday weekend. So what we want to talk about today, obviously, very real estate focused show here. We've got a couple big stories. The Supreme Court had a major ruling we're going to talk about in a hot second here. The top 10 news stories of August 2021. We'll debate if they're even news stories in general. And MTV Cribs is back, everybody. So we're going to talk a little bit about real estate TV and what goes on there. So, and again, if you want to email the show, you email us info@tooletimeradio.com, and you can follow us on the live stream on YouTube and on Facebook. Just Google Tom Toole Sales Group or search that. So, Stacey, I know we've been talking about this internally for a lot of reasons, and earlier in the week, so just a couple days ago, it was actually last Thursday, I'm sorry, the Supreme Court of the U.S., so SCOTUS, they declared the Biden administration's federal moratorium on evictions to be illegal, which is a huge victory for landlords who have been putting a lot of pressure on the government to end the eviction ban, which has been in place for, I guess it's like 16, 17 months now. And the decision was a 6-3 decision, and they ruled that the CDC, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, had exceeded its authority in issuing the latest moratorium because, remember, it was off, then it was back on, and you know what ended up happening here, which we'll get into in a little bit, is that landlords were literally not getting paid for months and really eating a lot of this eviction moratorium lack of rental payments. So what do you think about all this? Because this has been like an ongoing story, and it's been obviously playing out in the Supreme Court now.
Yeah, I've been tracking this because I found it very, very interesting. For even the president of the United States thought that when the CDC intervened and extended the moratorium, he even indicated that he thought it was illegal. So, he knew where this was headed, but I guess it was buying folks some time. But, SCOTUS did the right thing. It is illegal. There's a lot of small mom and pop landlords that have been suffering tremendously.
Mm-hmm.
And I do understand, too, on the flip side, if there are tenants out there that have not sought any kind of help or relief to help make their monthly payments, there is support out there. Ask around. There is great support out there. Housing Authority can guide you in the right direction because there's a lot of money that can help keep these tenants in place and help the landlords. But there are some certain situations where it doesn't apply.
Well, and that you mentioned something there that's part of the problem here. And the problem being that there's all this COVID-19 relief money. And what this article on Housing Wire went on to discuss, which I found to be a big issue, is that the Biden administration came out and said that only $5.1 billion of the $46.5 billion in aid to renters had been distributed as of the end of last month, the end of July. So what ends up happening now is they have this relief money that's earmarked, and the relief money's earmarked, and it's a lot, $46.5 billion, huge number.
Mm-hmm.
And they have this money earmarked, and they're saying, hey, you know what? We're not going to distribute it, or we don't have the infrastructure to do it, or we don't have the plan. So only 10.9%, less than 11% of it has helped renters. Meanwhile, all these landlords, these properties may be financed, and maybe they're not. They're paying taxes. They're paying insurance. They're paying all these different bills associated with them. So, okay, the renters don't have to pay, even though the relief money's there. There's over $40 billion left that hasn't been distributed. and these landlords are stuck holding the bag. And you had mentioned about the small landlords, especially, and there was an article on the Real Deal that talked about this that came out and for the month of August as well. Is that there's millions of people who are on the cusp of maybe losing their homes or where they live, but with all that in mind, they're not taking advantage of the relief programs the government passed, designed, and budgeted for. And then the landlords are stuck with the bill, and there's no landlord relief program.
No, none at all.
Right?
None.
And this has been going on for 18 months. So you got property taxes, mortgage payments, utility bills, other expenses.
Maintenance.
And maybe some of these people need that mortgage, that rent money coming in to pay these bills, pay their mortgage. And now what's happening is these folks are forced to max out credit cards with 20 and 30% interest rates. They have to take away from their savings because someone's getting to live somewhere for free, and these folks aren't taking advantage of the 40 plus billion left. That's a problem. And I don't know what happened here, but either these people there needs to be a better way to get the message out, because I don't think a lot of these tenants know where to go. The communication's not there. And now all of a sudden, okay, well, the tenants are okay. They have a place to live, but now you've put these other people in financial straits when they've been paying their bills the entire time.
Exactly. Yeah. There was a case study that I was listening to. There was a woman that was describing her situation, and she is a very small time landlord. She has a property that has an attached unit that she was renting. She has not received any rental income at all during COVID. Her tenant refused to pay, and she can't be evicted. The situation's a little different because the owner of the property, the woman, she is terminally ill. So she was describing that she's, dying of cancer, and she really wants her family to live next door to her to help her and to take care of her. And that's really why she wanted the tenant to move out. She's not evicting because of lack of payment, but obviously that would help her situation too. But she said more so, it was so that my family could move in and help me during this process. So not every situation, it's not all black and white. I mean, there's so much gray in between that gets lost. So I think, this is putting everything back into the confines of what is legal. So at least the landlords can take the necessary action if they have to. Again, it's a long process to, in some states, to officially evict people anyway. So it's not like, once this was lifted, everybody, gets their locks changed and they have to move out. That's not how it works either. So that was just one case study I heard, and I really I empathize with that woman because it's a very unique, different situation, and she was suffering.
Well, and that's what people don't get. They don't hear these human interest stories. They hear, okay, well, the landlords, they had enough money to buy the property, so they can deal with it. And 18 months when you have someone that's contracted to pay you. I mean, we talk about mortgage forbearance and these other things. Well, these mortgage companies, that program works because all they're doing is tacking the payments onto the end of the mortgage. So if you had 20 years left on your mortgage at the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic, well, now you got 20 years plus the 18 months that you haven't been paying your mortgage. So they're getting their money. And those are companies equipped for this. The landlord that owns maybe 10 or 15 properties, or maybe even only one or two, or like the woman you're speaking about, that's the folks that get hurt. And to your point, the president of the National Apartment Association, he came out and said the government's got to move past these failed policies and begin to seriously address the debt tsunami in the nation, which is crippling renters and housing providers alike. So, even you have the National Apartment Association coming out and saying, hey, this didn't work.
Right.
There's got to be a better way to distribute this money. I mean, everyone got PPP loans. Everyone got EIDL loans. I don't understand how this $40 billion worth of rental assistance for people that need it, it isn't getting out there. And that's a failure on both administrations, because it's gone, with the Trump and Biden administration, because they've been presiding over this over the past 18 months. What they're also estimating, to give everyone a perspective here, is the Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, the CFPB. They're estimating 11 million renters have fallen behind on rent, and they do a pulse survey every month, and their analysis found that 3.6 million of those people are likely to be evicted, because some landlords are working with folks. I don't want to say that this is just and I mean, I'm a landlord. This question came up as soon as this happened, and our plan was to work with the people that were there, but not everyone can afford to do that. And that's
Right.
and it's it's okay. Well, this person can pay their bills, but this one can't, or this one's not allowed to. And it's that's where the problem with this is. So how do you think this plays out here? I mean, obviously there's some people in some financial straits. How do you think this plays out, and what does this mean for the market? I mean, I've got some clear ideas what I think is going to happen, and but what do you think, Stace?
Well, what it means for the market is, I mean, it's still a great seller's market.
Mhm.
So for any landlords that for whatever reason they're underwater, they can sell. They can sell and hopefully, clear out their debt, so they can unload the property. And now that the eviction moratorium's lifted, they can sell with the tenant in place, or have the tenant removed before
Yeah.
selling. So I think that that's an option. Now, as far as the renters and the tenants, I really have to ask, why don't they know about these programs? And where's where's the cracks here? Where are people falling through the cracks? Because, like you said, we have a tenant in place, and when this initially happened,
Mhm.
and we understand her situation, and we are tied in with the housing authority, so I knew that there was programs. We got her hooked up immediately with that, and
Yep.
she did her part. She did her part too. So that was a success story, but there's a lot of people falling through the gaps.
Well, you bring up a good point. I mean, what I see here are a couple things. One, to what you said, you're going to see landlords start to liquidate,
Mhm.
because that's the only way they can maybe make their money back. I mean, if they've
Yeah.
dipped into savings, or they've racked up credit card debt, or whatever they've done to make their payments, maybe they're in forbearance, and that's added on to the back end of their mortgage. Who knows? The option of selling is going to be there. And because the market has appreciated like it has been, 9 to 10% year over year, where we saw through the end of July, at least in our marketplace in the greater Philadelphia area, that could hopefully erase some of these financial problems they've run into. So that's the hope here. Now, it might not always be the case. We don't know. And then you got to question, what kind of condition is the property in? Has the tenant been keeping it up? And
Right.
there's a lot of issues there that they could come to the forefront. So that's one option for landlords. I am clear landlords are going to start to liquidate,
Mhm.
and there's going to be some of them, and a lot of it's going to depend on where they are in their life. If they're sick of being a landlord after this, and
Right.
we have some clients that are doing this now, where they're just kind of done with the process, because I haven't made any money in 18 months.
Mhm.
I've got all these laws I got to deal with, and I'm getting ready to retire, and I'm kind of sick of this, so I'm going to cash out. So it's stick or sell is kind of the decision a lot of these folks are making. So I do anticipate for the market and for the buyers that are listening, if you're in that first time buyer segment, or you're in that maybe move up segment where you're not going into a larger home that's typically not rented, but anything that you would kind of expect to be rented, there's going to be some of those homes coming on the market. You
For
might need to
sure.
put some sweat equity into them if they are rentals, because they're not going to be kept the same way that your home or my home would be, just because we're end users, and renters don't typically take care of the property in the same way that, not all of them, but I mean, there's more wear and tear.
Mhm.
So I'm clear that's going to help buyers that are out there in the marketplace, number one. Secondly, to your point, if you're a landlord that's in this situation and your tenant's not paying, I'd get on the phone with the tenant and tell them about these programs.
Mhm.
I mean, instead of playing the victim here, take ownership of what's going on. And that's the
Right.
best advice I have for everybody, because the money's out there to be helped, and there's still people that are out of work. And that's a really challenging situation. Do something about it. Don't just sit there and boo-hoo all day. That's not going to help you.
Mhm.
So the landlords that feel like they're affected by this and they don't see an end in sight, and obviously the tenant's got to be cooperative too,
Mhm.
which is a whole nother thing.
Right.
I'd be on the phone with my tenant saying, hey, there's this federal aid package that's out there. Here's how to find out about it, and go from there. I mean, those to me are the two things that are going to happen. And for sellers, if I'm selling a home in that first time buyer segment, or I'm selling a home in that maybe trade up segment where I know there's the opportunity for someone to turn this into a rental property, I'd be a little concerned about some of this inventory coming to the market. Not that it's going to jump up to a buyer friendly market. It's just not going to be as seller friendly as we have
Mhm.
seen. So I'd be thinking about that if you're planning on moving and that's where your segment of the market is, because you don't want to be competing with a bunch of other properties,
Mhm.
especially if it's landlords looking to liquidate, because they may just want to sell and be done with it. And not everyone always goes for the maximum price. They just want to get it sold and get a clean offer. So this is going to affect the market, especially knowing what the Biden administration has planned for 1031 exchanges,
right,
which are going to affect landlords, and what they
Mhm.
have planned with, the hiking the capital gains tax rate. I mean, this all
right.
goes hand in hand here. So I'm clear that we're going to see a pop of inventory here, and may not be the best homes, may not be the sexiest homes. It's going to be homes that first-time buyers and trade-up buyers typically move to,
Mhm.
and be ready to put a little sweat equity in.
But it's great opportunity, that's for sure.
100%. So, yeah. Anything else that you think we need to be talking about here? I mean, this is a tough story because there's been so much back and forth, and no one's been really clear on how it's going to play out.
Yeah, it's a tough story on both sides, but I think this is definitely the right decision, because what the CDC ultimately did by extending the moratorium was illegal. So this is just writing that something that was incorrect, and now it's going to stay. So at least people will know what they can and cannot do. At least they'll have a direction, and they can make hard decisions. So that's definitely something to be said right there, because people need to know which way I can go. Being in limbo is not good for anyone.
So the name of the program, if this is something that applies to you and you're listening, or you know someone, I think it's, we all got to take responsibility to get the word out about this. So it's called the Emergency Rental Assistance Program, and
Mhm.
literally, if you Google it, the first result that comes up is a link to the Treasury Department, the Treasury.gov website, and it says find rental assistance in your area. There's a fact sheet. There's a lot of good resources there. That's the place to go. So literally, just Google what I just said there, which was the Emergency Rental Assistance Program. It'll
Okay.
take you to the appropriate website, and then there's going to be different things by state and everywhere else. So because it did get delivered by state, so in Pennsylvania, you actually want to go to the Pennsylvania site. It's dhs.pa.gov, and that's the Department of Human Services. And then you can search Emergency Rental Assistance Program. It's ERAP, and there's a online application literally right on the website
Mhm.
that you can go to. So it says what county are you applying from, and then you fill it out and go from there. And that's going to be the best way to go about this. So again, just Google Emergency Rental Assistance Program, go to the dhs.pa.gov website, and if you're a landlord, send that to your tenants if they're having
Yeah.
problems. If you
Yeah.
know someone that's having problems and they're ignoring it, that's the biggest thing. Is a lot of people get in these situations, they don't do anything about it,
Right.
and that's how this stuff gets out of control. So we've all got a job to do to get that word out there. So that's where we'll leave it on this story. We're going to come back and we're going to talk about the top 10 debatable news stories in August. This is Toole Time, Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your...
What's up?
Whether you have a license or...
Oh, I can get it for you. You want me to get it?
692-6976 or visit TomToole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line.
Buying a home or already own one? We can help. I am Kevin Hamill from Alliances Insurance Agency. If you haven't reviewed your policies in the last 3 years, now's the time. New home buyers, there are a number of ways that we can help you get to that settlement table. Call us to find out more at 610-816-0043, extension 3, or visit our website, alliancesinsurance.com. Don't forget the S, it's for savings.
When you're getting a mortgage, you shouldn't have to sacrifice great service just to get a great rate. At Mortgage America, we've been lending with this philosophy for over 35 years. We have access to great low rates without the complications and delays of big or online banks. We're a local Pennsylvania lender with loan officers that you can actually meet. As PHFA's #1 lender, we specialize in all residential mortgage programs, including first-time buyer programs and low down payment options. For your free pre-approval, call us at 610-439-8000 or apply online at mymortgageamerica.com.
Mortgage America's equal housing lender, MLS 128. The real estate market is red hot. Have you considered taking...
10 seconds.
Call the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX at 610-692-6976 or visit our website, TomToole.com, to connect and take advantage
Coming back.
of market conditions.
Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacey Mitchell. And we work with the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania and Delaware since 2018. We've got Nick Wolf doing the production behind the camera. He hates when I bring his name up, so there you go, pal. Brett is producing. Very excited to have him here. And what we want to go over now is there was an article that came out on Inman News, which is like the real estate news gossip industry site. And they're talking about the biggest stories in the month of August, which is usually a slow news month. And I found this to be pretty interesting because I'm not sure all of these are actually news stories, but instead of, us, me just kind of saying that and moving on, let's talk about them and see how relevant they are to the real estate industry, to the market. And it'll be a good rundown for people maybe listening to the show for the first time, tuning in for the first time on YouTube or on Facebook. And again, you can follow us there. Just Google Tom Toole Sales Group, and we'll be right there. So let's run down them, Stacey. I'm going to tee them up for you, and then we can go back and forth a little bit. So the first story, bidding wars are cooling off, how to prepare for a shift. And this goes over what happens when the market starts to tilt in buyers' favor. Here's what agents need to be thinking, preparing for, and learning about to better serve their future clients. What do you think about this one? #1 news story of the month of August.
Well, there is a shift in the market.
Yes.
So that is true. I think, again, it's every situation's different. Every house is different because I've been in bidding wars still.
Mm-hmm.
But there's definitely opportunity. So, I think this story is somewhat legit, but because it is shifting. So, yes, I agree.
So I do agree with this as well, because the market has been pretty incredible since May 19th of last year with excessive bidding wars, excessive and some pretty amazing terms being offered to sellers where they're being paid to accept an offer by a certain time. They're actually getting more money if they say yes sooner because buyers know what's happening. So bidding wars are cooling off. And what I do like about this story from Inman's point of view is that agents are always very slow to pivot. At least the majority of them. Obviously, we've been talking about this like literally every week. It's okay. The market's hesitating a little bit. What do we do? So I do agree that agents should be thinking about what to do when the market starts to move a little bit. I wouldn't say that this is going to be a market tilting in buyers' favor. It is good for agents to start having a strategy so they can work on their skills, because there's a lot of agents out there, and we've done these transactions. This isn't how we operate, but they literally, the phone rings or they get the internet lead or whatever. They respond to it, maybe in a timely fashion, maybe not. They go and show the house and they sell it, and it's and they have no. There was no. They opened the door. So I think for those agents, that's who should be reading this particular article.
Yeah, because they will need to prepare for the shift.
Like learn how to do a script and a presentation and all that stuff.
Yes.
So so relevant. I think you want to always be ahead of the market, not behind it.
Correct.
All right, story #2. New law will limit what teams can call themselves. And this is dozens of teams will likely have to rebrand thanks to a state law. And this was in Connecticut specifically, that they changed the law where if they had the name group or LLC as part of their team name, that they're going to have to change that. What do you think about this story, Stacey?
It was #2.
It was #2. I don't know if these are in ascending order or not.
Okay,
They actually said top 10, so I'm assuming this is their #2.
Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. I don't know what to think of this one because I don't know really how does it. I guess if there's real estate teams involved, is that what it's trying to allude to here?
Well, let's go into this. So this is relevant to Pennsylvania in some ways because Pennsylvania's had this law in place for a while. So it was a new law that the governor of Connecticut passed that talked about some licensing issues, and they defined what a team is: 2 licensed real estate brokers or salespersons who are affiliated with the same sponsoring brokerage and engage in advertising as a group using a team name. They have like a registration fee they wanted to pass, but teams can use the word team, but they banned some other words such as group. Company, LLC, or anything that implies it's a business entity. And they also have a naming rule, which said that some of the current teams are branded around an agent's full name, and few still incorporate the brokerage identification. So it sounds like they were moving towards what Pennsylvania's been doing here.
Mhm.
And this might be something I'm a little more of an expert in than you are. Would totally, I mean, that would make sense, right? So what I know is that Pennsylvania has very clear laws. And I think this is other states getting up to snuff, because you go to some of these other states, you don't know who these people work for from a brokerage standpoint. In Pennsylvania, you have to put the brokerage's name on every piece of advertising, period. And it has to be as prominent. That's what the law says. It also says that you have to have the team leader's name in the team name. This is a big problem in Pennsylvania that, I mean, no one ever reports this stuff. I mean, I got bigger problems than reporting illegal team names, but there are a ton of teams that you don't know who's working there. They have some arbitrary name and you don't know what brokerage they work with. So, this story, I think it when someone complains in Pennsylvania, then this is a big story, at least to us. I think this is more just kind of New York's like this, New Jersey's like this. I don't see this as being that big of a deal, other than it's probably going to be the national standard. So this one, we'll drop this down out of the top 10, right? That's all right. So number 2 is out. Okay, the third one, 11 time-saving apps that'll give you leverage. What do you think about this, Stacey?
Okay. I want to know what they are. Let's see.
And let's look them up.
Okay, because I need some time-saving apps.
So Jimmy Burgess wrote this, who's a friend of mine. So I'll give credit that he knows what he's talking about. I'm looking through these apps. Forewarn, never heard of it. Stride, Videolicious, you heard of that?
No.
Your iPhone scanner.
I don't have an iPhone.
Okay, so you might as well just stop now.
Right. Easy Measure.
Easy Measure. Bomb is the first good one.
Bomb,
number 6.
There we are. Yep.
That should be number 1 if you ask me. That's a video app. So I like that one. DocuSign. We use .loop, same thing. That should be up there. Although if an agent's not using electronic signatures, I think they should be just thrown out of the industry entirely.
Yes.
Unless they want to do extra work. Adobe Lightroom. Nick, do you know what that is? Good. No. Thumbs up. Thumbs down. All right. Nick says thumbs up. Audible. I like.
Okay. I don't use
Books on tape.
Oh, yes. Audible. Okay. Got it.
that's, and then Calendly, also a good one. That helps you schedule stuff. That's like someone can have access to your calendar and schedule a time when you're available based on what you set. So that way you're not going back and forth about scheduling calls. Google Drive. I mean, again, that's one that everyone should be using. So I would say this is more like, if you're not using half of these apps, you need to get a reality check that it's 2021 and not 1998 and see what happens.
Yep. I agree.
Good stuff by Jimmy. I'll have to read about the other ones because I don't really know what they are. All right. So we'll get that one's okay.
Yeah. That one's good.
Okay.
Give thumbs up for that.
Next time I see Jimmy, he's probably going to have something to say. Okay, story number 4. Compass dramatically trims losses and sees rocketing revenue in Q2. So they lost $7 million in the first quarter, which was an improvement over their previous quarter and the last quarter. And when you go and look at, they lost $7 million in Q2. So they still lost money. And they took in $2 billion between April and June of that year. So, I mean, they're still losing $7 million after taking in $2 billion. That's the big story.
Okay. What did they trim? I want to see what it said they trims. Okay. I see. They trimmed their losses. How did they do that? Does it go to say what they did?
What I would imagine happened is that it was a big quarter for a lot of realtors and they sold a lot of houses.
And that's why. Yeah.
And they're apparently expecting to have an adjusted EBITDA profitability in 2022, which is a year sooner than expected. And that, there's some rhetoric in here from Robert Refkin that Compass agents strongly outperform their peers. I mean, I don't know what the data set is there. They have 817 more agents. So, I mean, it's these stories with these companies are interesting because, I mean, you look at Compass's stock price, right now it's at $15.98 when it came out. I mean, it was originally valued, let's see here. They originally had it valued at $20 and they were originally going to price it at $34. And it went down and then it's come back up a little bit after the earnings report, but then it went down again. I have a real problem with these companies in general, and this isn't just Compass, that they report, oh, hey, we didn't lose that much money this quarter. I don't know about you, but in your business, because you have your own business. If you had a not profitable quarter, would you be feeling okay?
No, not at all. No. But I guess this is to smooth it over and sugarcoat it somewhat.
To me, this is, I think a lot of these companies, this is Wall Street in general. I think there's a bigger problem here that a lot of these cases, they're just, these companies aren't profitable. I don't understand how they stick with bringing shareholders in. But there's going to be some issues there. I mean, if I was a stockholder or I was a shareholder, and they're telling me, well, we're going to get closer to profitability, and I mean, it's almost like funny money because unless you sell the stock, like what does it really mean?
Right.
The concern I see is a lot of these Compass agents, they took stock to come over there, and the stock hasn't done that well. So I mean, it's you took this. Is it going to go anywhere? I mean, Realogy stock was down to like $2 at one point. I don't like the take stock to come to our company option. So I think that's probably part of the challenge here with that. So what do you think of that story, Stacey? Newsworthy or not?
No, not really.
If they made money, that would be newsworthy.
Totally. Yeah, that would be
the
big news, right?
But I guess we're living in fantasy land here. So, all right, so not that big of a deal.
Yep.
So the next one, Keller Williams Mega Camp, which is like the Keller Williams, that's the major real estate conference they had.
Okay.
They had big questions come up from Gary Keller. Gary Keller's a smart guy. I like Gary Keller. I listen to his podcasts. And they had 4 questions they wanted to look at. Is KW going to go public? Is the market heading for tough times? What's up with COVID-19? And somehow they went, they did this out. And who steers the ship? Who's in charge? Because they had their CEO leave and get replaced because Gary Keller is now the chairman of the board. So what do you think about this story?
Again, yeah. What's up with COVID-19? That was one of their questions.
I think it was, how's it going to affect the market? And
yeah. Okay. No, I don't think this is one of the top news stories. That's for sure.
Stacey is not amused here, everybody, with this. So that's okay. All right.
Yeah.
Let's look at the next one here. So far we've got like 1.5 that are good. Number 6, 21 creative video concepts to reach more buyers and sellers. Also by Jimmy Burgess. So my man Jimmy is coming through with some good stuff here. So I'm not going to go through all of them. What I do agree with is that if you're not doing video as a company or a team, I think you're missing the boat there. I mean, we have, and you could say that's great, Tom, but we have committed to video. Obviously, this is on video right now. We put out a lot of videos a week. Here are some of the items: 5 things to do before listing your home. 5 biggest mistakes you can make. Should you sell? Video CMAs that are unsolicited to potential sellers. Love that idea.
Ooh, that's a good one.
We should write this one down. Yeah.
Coming soons. Also, we do those.
Coming soons. What else do we got here?
Neighborhood sales update.
Neighborhood sales. Yes. We do that.
Yep.
Also, I've seen a lot of hyper local stuff here, which I love. And so Jimmy lives down in Florida. I think it's like 30A. It's some like beach that they live on. I don't know much about Florida. What I know here is in Philadelphia, if you're an agent, I mean, you could get micro local in, hey, here's what happens in this neighborhood in Philadelphia. Like, here's your Fishtown market update, or here's your Graduate Hospital market update, or here's your Downingtown market update. So I do love going super local there. I think that's going to be helpful.
They're great.
This is a good art. If you're an agent and you want to start doing video, this is your first 21 videos. Like
oh my gosh, this is awesome.
Because if you don't map out your content, that's where people get inconsistent. I can't tell you how many agents, they come out with like 2 videos. They get all motivated. They do a video and then they run out of ideas. And it's, Nick can attest, it is not easy coming up with the content for these videos week after week. What are we on? Like number 248 or something of like the one.
That's a lot of videos.
And so you got to have a plan. This is going to be helpful for a lot of agents. So
I like this article. And it goes on my favorite transactions, my funniest transaction, my worst transaction. I love that.
When people like the behind the scenes stuff, they want to know what's going on, because I think that's always kind of a sexy part about any business. So this is one of the better articles. So far we like the bidding wars are cooling off. The time-saving apps, half of them we heard of. The 21 creative videos.
Thumbs up.
Thumbs up. So Jimmy Burgess is dominating the list here, which is very exciting because I know Jimmy. So, all right, number 7, EXP rakes in $1 billion in revenue and sees agent count soaring, and they were up 87% year over year according to their Q2 earnings report in number of agents and brokers. It's a big jump.
Wow, that's a huge jump.
I don't know how this isn't ahead of the Compass and KW stories. Number 1, I mean this is much more interesting than that, because EXP this is a real startup company. I mean, I don't, we don't work with EXP. We don't work with any of these companies. But what they've done here to see that kind of growth, 87% in the middle of a pandemic.
Yeah, it's huge.
That's a big deal.
So that should definitely.
And they profited. They profited.
Wow. Okay. See?
Congratulations. We're not talking.
Good
Not
job.
talking. We only lost this amount of money. They profited $37 million. So this to me is bigger than any of the other stories about
Yep.
the big companies.
Exactly. Yep. I agree.
And they also earned 24 cents a share when the prediction was only 5 cents. So that's a pretty big jump.
That's a big jump.
And then last year it was only 6 cents a share. So we'll have to get like a stockbroker on or a financial analyst to help interpret all this. But this to me is the much bigger story about any of the other companies.
Mm-hmm.
So we like that one.
Yep.
Let's see what we got. We're getting down to the wire here.
Okay.
Number 8, free leads from Google. How to set up and optimize Google My Business.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's
Also by
see.
Jimmy Burgess.
Uh-oh.
We should have had Jimmy come on.
I
I could have
know.
gotten him on the
Right.
show. This was planned at the last minute. So Google My Business.
Mm-hmm.
I do agree that this is important because where do you go to search for everything?
Google.
Google.
Of course.
Right?
Yeah.
If you can't Google somebody
Mm-hmm.
and nothing comes up or no reviews come up or no this is where people are going more and more.
Mm-hmm.
87.76% of people search on Google when they're looking to get it started with the buying and selling process, according to Statista, which is one of these statistical online search firms that look at that. So, and the thing about this is it's all free, right? So, I mean, you've got a lot of Google reviews from clients.
Mm-hmm.
We post all our listings on there. We post video clips on there.
Mm-hmm.
That's where people go right now.
That's where they go. Everybody goes to Google to do search anything, really.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever type of big purchase they're going to make, including real estate. That's where everybody does their searches.
Well, we're coming off a year where everyone did everything virtual and all that stuff. So why wouldn't they search there? So another gem from Jimmy Burgess here.
That's right. Boy, he is really doing well.
We're going to have to get him on the show here.
Yes.
I'm going to hit him up once I get done because I didn't even know this. We looked at the article and just thought we'd talk about this, and I didn't realize how in-depth it would be.
This article is really good. It goes into, getting how to get the reviews.
Mm-hmm.
Photos. It has a lot of tips. So it's a good article.
Well, what I love about this is we've done most of this, so I feel good about what we're doing as a team.
Right.
What I also like is that he's breaking it down for people. And the sad part is 95% of people who read this article, they're never going to do anything with it. But this is where people go. They're going to Google. So Jimmy's 3 for 3 on his articles. I mean, we don't know some of the apps, but this is good stuff. All right, we got 2 more here. And then we're going to wrap up, and then we'll talk about MTV Cribs coming back. Very exciting. Are real estate commissions going down? Not so much. So this is an article that talks about, I would say there's an analogy or a feeling, not fact-based, but I mean, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that there's commission pressure in real estate. I mean, you're in the industry every day. What are you seeing, Stacey?
Well, there's just a lot of competition as far as, trying to get listings. So there is pressure to, negotiate commissions. And so I believe that is true. I wouldn't say are they going down, but there's definitely pressure to negotiate commissions for sure.
Well, and there is because of the way the market is. And I've been through a couple of these trends where, and you get companies that are coming out there that are saying, hey, we'll list it for a flat fee, or we have a salaried agent, or now with the iBuyer issue. So there's more people trying to get in between the consumer and the realtor to take a piece of that, or just take it all out of their hands in general. What I don't like about this article is, there's something in there that says, a lot of people believe that real estate agents, they make housing more expensive. What we know is that according to the Bright MLS price index that we talked about, when a home doesn't go on the MLS, it sells for 16.98% less in the Philadelphia region.
Right.
So real estate agents end up getting more for their clients and more than their normal fee. So this to me is, and it's an opinion article. This is one of those headline grabbing clickbait articles. I give this one thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
Because the data tells us something else, and that ultimately real estate agents are really helping people. And I've never, I don't think you want to track, is my commission going up or down? It's how many people are you helping and what's your business doing? So I don't like the tone of the article in general. I don't think that's that big of a news story.
Nope.
All right.
I agree.
We are simpatico here on these stories, Stacey. Last one. Rocket Homes hiring in-house agents and launching an iBuyer program.
Oh, here we go.
So do you think this is a newsworthy story?
Well, it could be competition for Zillow, right?
100%.
Yeah. So Zillow might be a little concerned about this. That's for sure.
This to me is probably one of the biggest stories out of all of them because Rocket Mortgage is huge. Big company, right? And
Yes.
they're the nation's biggest mortgage lender, despite all the problems with them and how they never close on time and they don't do a great job. And I'm
Right.
going to go on record saying that.
Yep.
This is a huge story because they're bringing people in-house. The problem they're going to have is their mortgage companies don't deliver great service, so they might
Right.
not want to work with their agents in the first place. This is very similar to the Zillow program and other programs that are out there. And when the nation's biggest lender is doing this should be like number 1 or 2. Not
Unless they have plans to address the issues with on their lending side.
Yeah.
To really, get up to speed and meet the deadlines that are set forth in the agreements, then, maybe they'll have success.
Agreed. And I mean, you look at companies like Tomo that are coming along where they're
Yeah.
saying our only plan is to deliver excellent customer service. There's another company,
Yeah.
Better.com, that says we're going to waive the appraisal contingency altogether. We'll eat it,
Yep.
which is what Tomo's doing. That's where they're missing the boat. Now they do
Mhm.
capture a lot of market share, and I mean they have a successful company. The consumer relationship is not a good one from what we've seen on the ground. So
Correct.
that to me is a legitimate news story. So what I heard, and we're going to wrap this up, and then we'll talk about MTV Cribs when we come back, is bidding wars cooling off. Legit story.
Mhm.
EXP should be higher on the list. They were profitable. They had 87% agent growth. We have Rocket bringing agents in house, and Jimmy Burgess coming in with the tips and tricks and hacks and all the stuff agents should be doing,
Yes.
but probably never will,
Right.
because 87% of them are going to fail in the next 5 years. And that's why it's really important if you're
Right.
thinking about getting into real estate, make sure you connect with our team. We have a real estate scholarship program. We will pay for your classes. It's realestatescholarshipprogram.com. And that way you're not one of those 87%.
Check it out.
All right. On that note, what we're going to do, we're going to come back. We're going to talk about MTV Cribs in a second. This is Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM.
The real estate market is red hot. Have you considered taking advantage? Call the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX at 610-692-6976 or visit our website, tomtoole.com, to connect and take advantage of these market conditions.
Buying a home or already own one? We can help. I am Kevin Hamill from Alliances Insurance Agency. If you haven't reviewed your policies in the last 3 years, now's the time. New home buyers, there are a number of ways that we can help you get to that settlement table. Call us to find out more at 610-816-0043, extension 3, or visit our website, alliancesinsurance.com. Don't forget the S, it's for savings.
When you're getting a mortgage, you shouldn't have to sacrifice great service just to get a great rate. At Mortgage America, we've been lending with this philosophy for over 35 years. We have access to great low rates without the complications and delays of big or online banks. We're a local Pennsylvania lender with loan officers that you can actually meet. As PHFA's #1 lender, we specialize in all residential mortgage programs, including first-time buyer programs and low down payment options. For your free pre-approval, call us at 610-439-8000 or apply online at mymortgageamerica.com.
Mortgage America is equal housing under NMLS 12850.
Have you considered a career in real estate? Do you want control over your income? Whether you have a license or not,
All right, stand by.
610-692-6976 or visit tomtoole.com. Join our team, the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Main Line.
But it will. You know that.
All right. Welcome back to Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. Stacey was just telling me the power is going to go out of my house at some point with this storm coming, but that's not what we're going to talk about here. So, again, we are streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Just check out Tom Toole Sales Group, and we work with the Tom Toole Sales Group at RE/MAX Mainline, the #1 RE/MAX team in Pennsylvania and Delaware since 2018. So, MTV Cribs is back. I find this very interesting on a couple different levels. It's been off the air for what? I think like 10 or 11 years now.
It's been a while.
Been a while. I looked at like the forthcoming episodes on this. Not that exciting. So what I thought we could do was talk about our favorite episodes that we've seen, or maybe the most notable ones, and then just real estate TV shows in general, because this has like become, Cribs was the original. Like they went in, and I don't even know what the first episode was, and they started showing these celebrity homes, and all of a sudden, like HGTV spawned,
Yeah.
and then there's tons of real estate shows. So what's your favorite Cribs episode, Stacey? Tell me more about that. You were pretty clear on yours.
Well, I love Shaquille O'Neal. He just makes me laugh. I don't know about he's just funny. So I would have to say that's my favorite episode. First of all, his home at the time, 64,000 square feet, right?
Ridiculous.
Is that crazy? Like, so he needed a Segway to get around, basically. So he's riding around in a Segway. His love of Superman is reflected everywhere in the home because he's got, the emblem everywhere. The most interesting thing I found, because I'm always curious about these tall guys, it's how do they get, they have to duck under doorways and they can't fit in cars. His bed, now get this, it's 15 by 30 feet.
So what's the normal size of a bed? I mean, I've never had this problem. So let's look up like normal.
Yeah, what's the normal size?
Let's look up a normal king bed size. So 15 by 30.
15 by 30.
Wait for it here. Let's see here. 80 inches by 76 inches. So doing the math, I mean, that's not 15 by 30. I can tell you that.
It was huge. Of course, I had Superman on it. And of course, he had a lot of upgrades. The cigar bar, which was not your typical cigar bar. I mean, it was pretty impressive. And his garage with all his exotic cars that he had specifically outfitted for himself. And the cars were actually, the sports cars did not have roofs. Like they were totally customized for him so that he could fit inside. So anyway, that's my favorite one.
Little known fact is that Shaq is also on the the board of Papa John's. We were talking about this earlier. He's a pretty interesting guy. He is very funny, and he's also 7 foot whatever, and he's just a huge man. So I get the extra large bed. I mean, the most infamous episode was the Red Man episode. Do you remember this?
I don't remember that one.
Nick might remember. So he had a 2-bedroom, was it like an apartment in Staten Island? And he's like asleep when they come in. It doesn't even look like he showered. I mean, the place was a dump, and he was showing that he was eating like fish sticks or something in the freezer or something like that. It was like Long John Silver, like frozen meals.
Oh my gosh.
So that's probably the most infamous one. One that I always, because when there wasn't like a lot on TV at that time when this stuff came out. The most ridiculous one I saw was this guy. He was on the Chargers. It was Marcellus Wiley, and he obviously made a lot of money. But on the floor of his on his outside, he had these like tennis courts, and he had Dat Dude on one side and Wild Child on the other. These were his nicknames apparently. And I just thought to myself, how is he going to sell this house with his name on the floor? But that's what would go on these things.
Right.
Another one I remembered was the 50 Cent episode where he had an $80,000 chandelier, and he says, I could have bought a BMW for this. I've never even eaten in this room. And it was in his dining room. And that house was huge. It was in Connecticut. And I think it was the same, about like close to the same size as Shaq's house.
Wow.
Let me see here. But more importantly, while we're looking that up, and it was a big house. So it was up in Connecticut. It was he was spending $67,000 a month to maintain the mansion. And I mean, this is in Connecticut, so he's not out in California or somewhere else. And it was, I mean, the house was ridiculous. But the $80,000 chandelier, and said, "Hey, I could have bought a BMW for this." I thought that was hysterical.
That is.
The house is only valued at $8.25 million. It had a nightclub, a movie theater, an infinity pool, racquetball court. That was pretty wild. But I just remember him saying that. It was just so funny that he had that in there. Now I look at the new lineup. I mean, I think this show's going to flop. I'll tell you why. Here's the people on. Tell me if you recognize or have any interest in these.
Okay.
Ashley Simpson and Evan Ross.
No. Big
Sean. I don't even know who that is.
Who is that?
Christian Siriano.
Don't know.
Johnny Weir.
Oh. Now I might. Isn't he the ice skater?
Is he? I don't know. Maybe. No. Nick says no. We need to get Nick a mic. I don't know who he is.
Okay.
Jojo Siwa.
I don't know who.
I know who this is because I have a 7-year-old daughter.
He's got a mic now.
Huh? Oh, he's got a mic? All right.
Good.
Nick can chime in. Do you know who Johnny Weir is?
I don't know who Johnny Weir is.
Okay.
Ice skater.
Jojo Siwa is some sort of kid's character.
Oh, no.
I only know because I had to buy some clothes that my daughter Gina told me about. Jordan Woods.
No.
Kathy Griffin.
Oh no.
She's gone insane. I mean, I'm more interested in. I mean, she used to do the countdown with Andy Cohen, which we would watch every year on New Year's Eve because it was the best one. And then she lost it.
Yep.
And I've heard her on Howard. I mean, I'd watch that more for the show of her going a little crazy than anything else.
Right.
Marsai Martin. Nope. Martha Stewart. Well, I don't know who Martha Stewart is.
You know, I might watch that because Snoop might make a cameo.
You know, I was showing a house once, and I walked in, and there was a picture of her and Snoop Dogg on that picture. If you Google it, you'll find it out. Nick Young, who I think used to play for, he was a basketball player, maybe. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Nico Tortorella. I don't know any of these people. Snooki.
She's from Jersey.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be
Shore.
I can't imagine the house is that nice. Rick Ross. I know who Rick Ross is. He's a rapper.
Yep.
Good music. They play him a lot on Peloton. Ryan Lochte.
Oh, he's a
swimmer, yeah.
Okay.
Scott Disick.
Nope.
He's from the Kardashians.
Oh, is that the husband of one of them? Yeah.
No, they actually weren't married, but he was
okay.
he had the kids with her. Tia Mowry.
Nope.
That's from Sister Sister. Remember that show?
No.
This was Nick knows what I'm talking about. I don't even TJ Lavin and Tanat. I don't know who any of these people are.
Yeah.
This show's going to fail, and I don't know anyone that watches MTV anymore anyway.
Right. I don't know any. Oh, that's why Snooki's on there.
Well, yeah, I mean, they're just getting all this is like the D list. I don't understand this.
Yeah.
So instead of focusing on this, I don't think Cribs is, I think Cribs had its run. It's over.
Yes.
Because it went from.
It was cutting edge at the time.
Well, and then it turned into all athletes. And then, I mean, they had the Richard Branson episode was a cool one. Remember when he has the private island? Like that was a cool one. But besides that, you didn't get a lot of like A-list celebrities on there. So we're talking about real estate shows and how that spawned the whole real estate show genre that we see now. So what's your favorite and least favorite real estate show, Stacey? And Nick, feel free to chime in. I know all Nick watches is HGTV. He's confessed.
Yeah, they're HGTV. That's a good one. The $1 Million Listing, some of the characters on those, the California one and the New York City ones, they're pretty entertaining.
You like those?
Well, if I tune in, I find them entertaining. That's for sure. Yeah, but I can't imagine that it's that accurate. I think a lot of it is made for TV.
So I agree with you there. I went to there's a guy named Tyler on $1 Million New York City, and I was at his when he came out he came out like in 2019. This is before the pandemic happened. We went to the watch party of the first episode with some realtor friends of mine, because a lot of these people I know, they work at like Douglas Elliman, or they work at these places in the city in New York where they work with these guys. That was interesting. Tyler Whitman. So that was interesting to see. I wish they would go more into the business side with these guys, because I am fascinated by Ryan Serhant, Frederick Eklund, the Altman brothers, especially those three in particular, because they do so much volume. But they're doing volume of high-priced properties that require a lot of time on those sales.
Yes. Yeah.
And we were joking our show would be $250,000 listing down here. But I would love to see the business side more. And unfortunately, I don't think you're going to get that, because there is some scripting that goes on. It's real, but I don't know that you have like the face-to-face negotiation all the time. I don't see a lot of that happening from what I understand.
I definitely would like to see the backside of that. Yeah.
Agreed. So what show don't you like? What are your least favorite shows?
Let's see. Pertaining to like real estate shows, I don't think I have a least favorite. I have to think about it for a second. But yeah, no. Some of those fix and flip ones, I'm not into those.
I think they need to give a warning on those shows.
Yeah.
Of, hey, talk to a realtor before you start to try to fix and flip something, because a lot of those homes are in markets where the margins are really fat. Where in California, you can fix a home up and you can resell it for a really high price. We just don't have those margins here. And I've seen some people get in a lot of trouble.
They get burned.
Get burned and lose money because they think they can do this, or it's easy, or they don't have a plan. So I do agree with you there.
I think that they're inaccurate as far as their cost of renovations, because I don't know about you, but when you watch the California one, and they'll say, oh, well, this bathroom reno is going to be $2,500. I don't know where you can do a bathroom reno, especially in California, for $2,500.
If they're doing the work themselves, yes, but then they're not valuing their time, and that's the mistake, because they could go work or do something else. So it actually is costing them more than they really think. They're just looking at materials in some cases.
Yep.
I agree with those shows. I feel like they've hurt a lot of people financially, so I don't like them. And these guys also make it look really easy, and
it's not.
There is nothing easy about flipping a house.
None. not at all. And I do believe that people look at that and they say, oh yeah, we can do that. And then they try it and it's a big fail. Yep.
Couldn't agree with you more. So
I see them out there sometimes.
So get rid of the fix and flip houses.
Yes, exactly.
Those shows stink.
Yep.
I do like $1 Million Listing to a certain extent. The coolest shows I see, like it's when they go to these extravagant houses, like on the water or these like where you actually get to see the real estate a little bit. So like, not like Buying Alaska or those kind of shows or like tiny houses, but there's also the one off the grid. Have you seen the one where the people move off the grid and they live like next to like an erupting volcano or something in like in a shipping
but
container?
I think they were doing off the grid in Alaska.
Yeah, I mean,
wild.
I want to be on the grid with power, with television. I don't know. It's interesting. I do like the $1 Million Listing shows to a certain extent. It does get a little problematic at times, but I mean, more so for those guys. I think it's helped their business, which I certainly appreciate.
Totally. Yep. And I would like to do $250,000 listings.
$250,000 listing.
Yes.
Bravo if you're listening. We're
Let's
here
do
and
it.
ready. That's all we got this week on Toole Time Real Estate Radio on WWDB 860 AM. I'm Tom Toole. She's Stacey Mitchell. You can follow her at @2 Mitchco, @2 MITCHCO on Instagram. You can follow me at Tom Toole 3RD, Tom Toole 3rd on Instagram. Google the Tom Toole Sales Group. Check us out there. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Want to email us? It's info@tooletimeradio.com. We'll be back next week. This is WWDB 860 AM.